Hi, this is a quick demo of the Wrangles Excel add-in for automating data work, fall of 2023. You get Wrangles by actually going to the Microsoft App Source store, and it's a plugin. You'll load the plugin and then you'll get this menu. When you click on My Wrangles, what it'll do is open up this interactive wrangling task pane. And so I'm going to demonstrate 3 wrangles, and then so that you understand what those are, and then run a recipe, which is a collection of wrangles with reading and writing appended on either end. The 3 wrangles that I'll run here are on data that represents a manufacturer or supplier e-commerce data file that needs to be processed and uploaded into a product information management PIM tool. That's the context for this demo. So to run a wrangle, all you do is select data in Excel and then find the wrangle that you want. In this particular case, we're going to run a classification wrangle. We're going to reclassify the items from our supplier into our own taxonomy. So this is what a classification model does, is it puts things, in this case products, into a classification. So I click here and run that, and you see how wrangles work. You select data, you run the wrangle, it produces a new column with the data it produced. In this particular case, this classification wrangle outputs or matches these items to a 3-level taxonomy. When I say matches, I mean it's using a machine learning model, AI, if you will, to semantically predict what the best taxonomy category would be for each of the items. And that probability that it's got it right is the number you see at the end. 63.6 is the confidence score. So that's an example of a wrangle, classification wrangle. I'll show you another one. This is going to be an extract wrangle. So we're taking the product specification data provided by the supplier, and we're going to basically translate it into the semantics of how we want to represent the attributes and properties. So I went here to extract wrangle. I narrowed it down to the specific one I want to run, which is extracting power tool attributes. And you see here, now it's gone through each of these technical data and title fields and pulled out and standardized C13 amps and so forth the data so that it's ready to be uploaded into our PIM. It's in our semantics at that point. The last wrangle I'll show you is an extract wrangle, but in fact it's actually going to summarize. It's going to take the highlights that the supplier provided us, essentially a long description, and it's going to rewrite those for us. Now this particular wrangle is using the API from OpenAI, the folks who built ChatGPT, all that good stuff. And so it sent the data out through that API, and you see here, if you will, the summarized description that it produced. So that's a very quick introduction into running wrangles. Some of these wrangles are built offline. A number of them, in fact, most wrangles tend to be DIY. See here, you just click that plus button and create your own wrangles. The last thing I wanted to show in this introductory demo is what we mean when we say a recipe. So a recipe, as I said, is a collection of wrangles, and that collection of wrangles can literally do anything with the data. And here we're working on Excel data, but it could be data that's in an application or a database. And I'm going to run Bosch process content wrangle. It's going to take all of this data and it's going to do a bunch of things to it to get it the way we want, ready for the PIM, if you will. And so I'm going to run that in addition to returning the fully prepared data back here to this Excel workbook. It's also going to upload this data into a PIM via an API. And I'll show you that at the tail end of this. But for now, I'll just hit Bosch process content, run the recipe. I'd selected all of the data in the spreadsheet here now, not just individual columns. And you can see the status bar says it's processing. And here, just in a moment, you're going to see a new sheet pop up. You'll note there were 5 products as rows. Now there are 5 products as columns. We've just transposed those, so it's a little easier to see how we've extracted the attributes. We've written new titles for each of these and so forth. And so that's an example of running a recipe. Some of the wrangles in this recipe were the 3 that I showed you. For example, classifying it there, rewriting the description, and so forth. So I'm going to switch over now and show you what this data looks like landed in the PIM, just so you can get an appreciation for the value of taking the raw, unstructured data from one and all of your suppliers, and through the magic of Wrangles, being able to push it into your PIM without having to do any manual data work. Okay, here we are in the PIM. The PIM we use for this demonstration is Akineo, but this could be any PIM. It could be any downstream system. It could be part of your e-com stack or back into the ERP. The point is that recipes and Wrangles can write directly to systems, not just to files. So here I'm showing you before we ran the recipe, there were no files in the system, no items in the system, and now those items that we just wrangled in Excel are here. You can see that they are correctly classified per the taxonomy that we have and want to maintain in our PIM. And when I go into an individual product, you see that the title that was generated from the recipe and all the attributes that have been pulled out and standardized and the proper units of measure, all that good stuff is mapped. So that's it for this demo. What you saw is an example of cleaning and enriching product data from a supplier, doing all of that through the magic of Wrangles and a recipe that ultimately put all of that rich, reliable data into the PIM. Look forward to speaking with you more about the capabilities and how they might benefit you in automating your data work.